strikers of the second best goal-scoring team in the country have what it takes to beat the Melbourne Knights tonight. Well, one man who might know is former Socceroo Robbie Dunn, who joins us on the sideline this evening. Robbie, there's a few problems up front for Perth Glory. Do they have what it takes?
Well, we all know that Bobby Despotovski and Damian Mori scored a lot of goals, but when it comes to finals, we're in a different atmosphere, and Damian Mori, believe it or not, has only scored 2 in 11 appearances, so that has a little bit of a dampener there, but Bobby's had a bad week off the park, so we don't know how that's going to affect him. But the big thing for Perth, I believe, is their third-string striker from set pieces, so to speak. Jamie Harmer won't be there, so you know, I think they are going to be under a lot more pressure to score goals tonight than they usually are.
Now, I guess on the other side of the coin, you just might think about the Melbourne Knights. They've only won 1 out of 11 against top 6 opposition. There's a few problems there as well.
Well, you can say that, but I like to think that since Andrew Marth has taken over, they're a lot steelier, they're a lot stronger unit. They've only lost 1 in the last 6. And speaking with Andrew earlier tonight, he believes the weather has been soaking here. It's Melbourne weather. He's very, very confident.
Well, why don't we go back to last weekend when they met at the Knights Stadium. It was a rain-soaked Knights Stadium as well. That was the problem for the Melbourne Knights. They had to defend for 60 minutes when Jamie Harnwell got his second yellow card and his marching orders. And then it was up to the Glory to see if they could, well, stamp out the onslaught, really, from the Melbourne Knights players. That was De Costa. Then there was Andrew Marth. He really did lead from the front. He had chance after chance in the second half, but just could not bury it. And I guess in the end, they might reel from all these missed chances.
Well, you could say that. I mean, I'm a little bit of a believer in fate. And, you know, at home, you've got to take your chances. And I think Andrew Marth will be the first one to agree that he should have took a couple of them. So you never know what's going to happen tonight.
Well, they've only lost 1 out of their last 6, the Perth Glory. Let's have a look at their last 3 in a little bit more detail. That loss to Parramatta, well, if they'd have won that one, they might not be playing against the Melbourne Knights tonight. And then in round 30, they won it 3-0 against the Canberra Cosmos. What a thrilling weekend that was. And then that 0-0 draw against the Melbourne Knights last week. Now, they don't have a Jamie Harnwell. So where are the changes for the Perth Glory? What has Bernd Stanger done this week?
Well, I think obviously you've got to bring Craig Deans in. He filled that role last week for the last hour of the game. He did a great job. And the other one is Faria, and I believe he'll come in on the right-hand side. And if he's on his game, he's electric, that kid, and he can really turn things around for him.
Yes, it's going to be a terrific battle, both up front and in the middle of the park. Well, the Melbourne Knights at the other end of the ground tonight have won 2 out of their last 6. Their last 3 look a little bit like this. A 0-0 draw with the Perth Glory. In fact, all the games this season between the Melbourne Knights and the Perth Glory have been close. And a 6-4 drubbing of Newcastle. A 0-0 draw in round 29 with Marconi. Now, their players, might have made a few changes as well, because there's a few players who are not 100% fit. This is a very big ground here at Subiaco.
Well, I believe that the manager has always said that Vargas would come in if he's fit, so he's come in, and Mrdja out on the substitutes bench, but mainly the same side, and they're going to rely on their senior players to get them through tonight. Yeah,
that's a very good lineup indeed, even with Kirit Soglu on the bench, so they do have depth, the Melbourne Knights. Well, Andrew Marth said, why not just go for it? This is our last chance. And when the Perth Glory hit the park, they've scored 38 goals, a record in the National League for the first 45 minutes. All the entertainment right here on C7 Sport. Here's your match commentator, David Smith.
Good evening. It's certainly a night for the hardy. 20 hours of torrential rain, only abated an hour before kick-off. What we do have here is the largest ever crowd assembled for an elimination final in the NSL. An estimated 40,000 for a game that is as evenly poised as you could possibly ask for. The Glory, with home advantage, are the slight favourites, but the Knights will be aware that a score draw will be enough to send them into the minor semi-final against either Sydney United or Marconi Stallions. There's our referee for this evening. His name is Simon Micallef, and he's got a large responsibility on his shoulders to allow the game to flow. Last week we saw quite a few yellow cards showed. That particularly affected the Glory, and as the event goes on, if they get through to the latter stages, that could really harm them, because if you receive a second yellow card throughout the playoff process, then you will miss a game. It could well be you may get through to the grand final itself, but half your team could be missing. There's the man with all the pressure on his shoulders, Bobby Despotovski. What a week he's had. He seems to have come through it unscathed. All week in training, he has been the liveliest and perkiest person you could possibly imagine. It's his normal temperament, we're told, but can he and Mori find the goals to see off Melbourne Knights? One thing for absolutely certain, if the Glory don't score this evening, then their situation will look rather perilous. Situation is, if it's still 0-0 after 90 minutes, we will have a period of golden goals extra time and then the possibility of penalties. It's Despotovski who gets the first touch of the game, and so much pressure on both of these sides. The first thing, though, you have to say is how would they react to the crowd?
Well, it's a good point. There's so many players that have played less than 50 games in the National Soccer League. I think there's a total of 6 in all, so this is big match experience for them, and it's a good question as to whether they'll stand up to it.
So the first free kick of the game going the way of Glory, and a chance to apply a little bit of pressure early on. Naven with the header. They've still got the chance now through Miller to get the ball into the centre. Despotovski with the attempted layoff, and away it goes upfield. The other factor is this pitch has taken an awful lot of water, although so far it doesn't seem to have affected the roll of the ball, which is the one thing that you really do worry about, especially as a defender. If you're a striker, you're always hoping that the pitch will be slightly slippery. Still might be an occasion where you might like to have a long shot at goal, because it might just skip off the surface and embarrass the goalkeeper. Referee getting a little bit too close to the action there. And already you can hear in the background the cries from the very, very noisy Glory fans. Around about 100 Knights fans have come across for the game, but you don't expect to hear too much of them unless things go seriously wrong for the Glory. This should be Miller's, and he gets a firm header which goes into touch. Vasilevski to take the throw and is available for the return. Sorted out by Mori. Referee again gets in the way. Da Costa comes back to help out. This is Vargas finding his brother. He's settled into the middle of midfield at the moment. The main target men for them, of course, Porter, Da Costa, and when he also gets forward, Cervinski as well. Well, one back by Porter, who's full of running. Here he is on the ball again. There's a man available in the centre, but slightly offside, and spotted by the referee's assistant on this near touchline.
He's going to keep trying, Andrew Marth. He led from the front last week. He's got a bit of a groin problem, and seems like he's going to push himself forward more and more as this game goes on.
Here's Mori. Dangerous ball inside, away at the near post. Edgar couldn't get a touch on it. Despotovski, now Edgar. Despotovski goes down, and that will be a free kick in a very dangerous position. Complaints by the two Vargas boys, all in vain. The decision already has been given. And this the reason why he'd already offloaded the ball before the challenge came in. And once again, the rain comes down. It's a pretty miserable evening if you're a spectator. Despotovski is just over the ball at the moment. Mori, I would suspect, would be the player who would try and have a crack from this sort of position. Not a brilliant recent scoring record in finals, but he does need just 2 goals to become the best striker ever in this part of the competition. It's the right angle for a right-footed shot. Here it is. Here's Mori. The wall does its job. Trying to penetrate down the far side, but too much weight on that ball.
It's going to be interesting. I think once the nerves calm down from the Melbourne Knight players, I think it's going to be a matter of who passes the ball better. It's all going to be technique tonight when this ball is going to be skipping around this big park, and the Perth Glory have made this park the biggest dimensions that you are allowed by FIFA because of the injuries to Andrew Marth and Andy Vargas. There was a cloud over him. They want to try and run the Melbourne Knights into the ground. And they really do need to keep possession of the Melbourne Knights if they're going to stand a chance, because the Glory's touch on the ball is first class.
That's a lovely ball forward, and that will be a free kick against Deans. who did so well last week when pressed into service as an emergency defender after Harngol had been sent off last week, and just catching his man, Cervinski, trying to make the break forward. There's Deans, who was really superb, especially going forward as well. That's an area of the game you should watch for as the game goes on. It'll be Lapsanski to take the free kick. Just drifting into the far side where there were two waiting. It's a great one! And in for the Knights! Well, Cervinski on the far side was totally unmarked. And now we know that the Glory have to score twice if they're going to go through to the next stage.
Well, he had a few problems, Andrew Marth, last week, but he lost Ljubo Milicevic on this occasion. Ljubo had him by the shirt. He changed, chopped and changed. There he is, the green and white shirt rising above. And what a great finish by a great goal scorer over the years, Adrian Cervinski.
12 goals in the regular season, but none more vital than the one he scored this evening, and so early in the game.
From ground level down here, Andrew Marth, who made the header across goals for him, really took off.
Yes, excellent work by Marth, but also the defending was very poor. Here's Da Costa on the ball. Well, the Knights said going into this game they were going to go for it. They've done just that. 6 minutes gone. The Knights have stunned Subiaco Oval. A crowd of almost 40,000 has gone very quiet.
Yeah, I think they realise the equation too. A score draw is just not good enough for Perth Glory. Now that the Melbourne Knights have got their goal away from home, it counts double if the scores are level. The equation facing the Perth Glory, as it always has been, they've got to win. Now they've got to score 2 goals in atrocious conditions.
Faria's layoff betrayed a few signs of nerves in the Glory camp. The one thing that Stanger would have said to them as they went out is don't concede an early goal. And that's exactly what they've done. I was actually sounding a bit like the host to The Weakest Link there. That's another good ball down the far side, and there are 3 waiting in the area, joined by a 4, but it goes off for a goal kick.
That's going to be a terrific battle out wide. Joel Porter, who's been given the reins to go out wide up against young Faria. What a battle that will be.
So Petkovic has already been beaten, sending the ball upfield and finding one of his own players in Edgar, who will battle hard to try and win it back, but at the moment it's all Knights as they flood forward again and earn themselves another free kick. Wehrman it was this time, and they're finding it very difficult to contain the 3-man strike force, and especially with Lapsanski coming forward as well to good effect. Lapsanski, who re-signed from Colton, and it was just the boost that the Knights needed, having an influx of new players just at the time when they needed it most. Lapsanski takes it and drives it hard. Came off Deans. Now Faria has got a man on the outside of him. Despotovski now making a run through the centre is now available with Mori on the far side. Here is Despotovski. Not quite enough weight on the ball. Now breaking down once again in favour of the Knights, with Da Costa taking up possession. And available for the return is 2 against 2. Dangerous moments again, these for Glory, with a man over on the far side ready to cross. There's no one there on the far side to pick up the man, but it goes away for the goal kick. Another dangerous moment.
Well, they're creating all these chances. You can imagine from a defender's point of view, the conditions are treacherous. They're trying to close the Melbourne Knights players down, but the footing is keeping them at a distance, just enough distance for the Melbourne Knights players to play decent balls like that one.
Well, we're now almost 9 minutes into the game, and the Glory have yet to get going at all. We haven't seen them as an attacking force apart from one free kick, and the Knights are just growing in stature and confidence as the game goes on, and it's another free kick needlessly given away.
I think the speed of the ball off the park's really affecting the Perth Glory players. Obviously, the Knights have played in these conditions before, and I think the timing and the tackling's really got to be looked at by the Perth players. They've got to get a grip of it very quickly.
I must admit, I was joking with Paul before the game, and I was suggesting that the Melbourne-based players would have an advantage because of all the rain, and we were joking. It's another decent ball in again, and another good header across. Indecision in that defence, and away it goes for the corner this time. Although, in fact, they're saying the last touch actually comes off a nice player, so it will be a goal kick.
He's going to be one hell of a handful, Andrew Mark. They've had 3 or 4 free kicks now, and every one of them has been...
Dark side of the Force. The Force? And the Force is what gives the Jedi his power. It's an energy field created by all living things. It surrounds us and penetrates us. It binds the galaxy together.
Now, they...
by the Glory, although this time they disagreed with the decision. But the point that Paul made earlier about the running that's got to be done by the Knights throughout this game is a really genuine point, especially with Mark, who has got a groin strain which has been long-standing, and Vargas only just back from a hamstring injury. That could still have an effect on the game as Despotovski plays the ball downfield. No free kick this time as Cervinski goes down, the scorer and the only goal so far. The equation always just, I felt, favoured the Knights by the fact that they could just score 1 goal and the score draw would take them through. But last night I was chatting to some of the Glory players and they were saying, frankly, if we couldn't beat the Knights on our own ground, then we didn't deserve to get through to the next stage, and I think he's absolutely right. Here's Naven. Kind of a half defence today, and still trying to press forward, but might be a little bit exposed to the back. Deans has got to get there. Da Costa goes round him like he wasn't there at all, and just waits to give possession back. Once again, they're looking very confident on the ball, the Knights. Da Costa was waiting on the far side. Vargas now uses him. Cervinski is now being picked up by Naven in the centre, but keeping him picked up is another difficult problem which they haven't so far sorted out. Deans, Faria. Deans again, floating the ball downfield. Edwards with a back header, Faria coming in off the wing. And now they're getting a few extra men forward, but sadly for Perth Glory, they couldn't keep the ball in. Another throw to the Knights.
Well, it's going to take them a little bit of time, Dave, to adjust to the conditions, but I do think that the Glory will adjust, and it's people like the man closing the ball down there, Kasey Wehrman, who's got to adjust quicker than most. He'll be the linchpin. He's the one who's got to control the ball.
Here's Porter. And again, it goes off this time for a corner. They're looking so mobile up front, though, the Knights. Every time they come forward, they've got attacking options, and they're keeping the defence very much stressed, and at the moment, really missing the presence of Harnwell. And of course, the point that's got to be made is that next week, if they get through, they'll also be missing Milicevic, who goes off to sign for a German club, probably Hertha Berlin, tomorrow. It's floated in by Lapsanski. Only partially away. Porter's shot, deflected. Oh, that's a terrible clearance. That one wasn't much better.
That's actually very hard to do that, Dave.
Well, they managed to achieve it twice. Perhaps it's a little skill they've been training on during the week. Lapsanski again, curls in a wicked cross with that left boot of his, goes to the near post, and that was unfortunate. The man who is going to the near post, slipping just at the vital time. Mori with a touch. Despotovski looking for a quick breakout as Edwards. Gets tackled by Vargas. 2 Vargases, of course, on the field. Roddy Vargas, who plays in central defence, and Andy Vargas, who plays in midfield. Faria. Prepared to take them on. He is lightning quick, incidentally. Floated forward, but again, the pace. That's where the difficulty comes with this sort of pitch. Yes, it just slides off the surface.
Well, that's almost lack of experience, really. I know Ljubo's a very young man, but he's just not used to the conditions at the moment either.
The rain continuing to drive down. It is a miserable night. It's almost 24 hours of incessant rain that we've had in Perth now. This pitch has taken so much water. At the moment, Perth Glory ship is beginning to sink, although there's still plenty of time for them to change that situation. Naven with the back pass to Petkovic. There's no control in midfield, though, at the moment for the Glory. No presence there whatsoever. That's an area where it's going to make or break them.
Well, look, Damian Mori's having to work so hard because balls are coming from the back line straight into him at 100 miles an hour. In conditions like this, it takes a very skillful touch to get it under control. Kasey Wehrman's got to demand that ball. Alistair Edwards, get the ball out wide to Scotty Miller. He hasn't had a touch yet, Scotty Miller. Faria needs to get involved in the game. Quite right, the midfield has just got to get more of the ball at the moment.
You're actually right about the service. When the Melbourne Knights come forward, they're putting the balls out wide for the players to run onto, and the Glory's trying to get it into feet, which is a bit hard.
And here they go again, doing exactly the same tactic, which has been so good for them this evening. Da Costa keeps it in, and rides the challenge as well. In the end, though, Wehrman's presence was enough to dispossess him, but the use of the arm prevented the ball going downfield, so a free kick to the Glory, who need a bit of respite at the moment. Wehrman, quite a character he is. Fell out actually with one of the coaching staff, which meant that he didn't play for a few weeks. Now fully installed in the team once more. And that's where he's going to start winning possession, and he's done so this time. And then he gets flattened after, and it's going to be the first yellow card shown to Acevski, and that means that if they do get through the Knights, he will miss the next game. That could be costly for them.
That was a silly foul, wasn't it? It was late. It was something that Ljubo Acevski is probably well known for. He just can't control his temper. One of the most skillful footballers in the competition, but he does have a problem when it comes to discipline.
Wehrman fires across to the far side. Dean's almost made it. Last touch, though, came off a Knights player, and it was actually going to be a corner, although they're still protesting that the last touch actually came off the Glory player Dean's. See for yourself. Was there any touch at all? Mrdja it was who was adjudged to have touched the ball. Now this is an opportunity, and the first one for a while for the Glory, and the rain as heavy as it's been at any stage throughout the evening. The referee taking firm control of the game and just trying to calm down some of the Knights players, and that's good refereeing in my view. The captain goes back into position. Wehrman sends the cross in. It's not a very good one, failing to beat the first defender. Mrdja comes across for probably his first touch of the game so far. Where you really want to see him is with that sweet left boot, putting in crosses. Might still get the opportunity of doing that, but not with that sort of ball. No chance to turn. Vasilevski will take the throw. Not easy to grip the ball in these sort of conditions either. Header away by Ognanovski. Despotovski will chase that, but won't get there. Vargas rises, one of the smallest players on the field. But once again, they have possession back, and a bit of good fortune as Cervinski in on the far side. Da Costa chases hard to try and win it back. Acevski looking for the return pass. Porter looks around for support, gets it from Vargas. Now Da Costa. Vargas takes over once more. Now Porter, Cervinski trying to time his run in the area. Is watched by Naven, who hasn't got to him. ball being played into the near post, it might have been very dangerous. As it is, it's still not out of harm's way. Eventually, Deans has to concede the corner. Still looking very flat-footed at the back.
Well, the last time they played in the finals, it was the grand final, and they were slaughtered in the second half by the Wollongong Wolves, and they have been taken apart at the moment by the Melbourne Knights. Maybe there's a great deal of remembering going on out there at the moment.
Corner's whipped in, difficult for the goalkeeper. Petkovic managed to palm it away, but it's still not totally away. Bit of good fortune. I think as Faria took the ball away. So that defence is creaking at the moment. You've got a player in there, in Deans, who doesn't look desperately comfortable tonight, although last week he was quite sensational. But most of the trouble is coming from that far flank. Away by Vargas. Lapsanski is absolutely running the show at the moment. Lapsanski with so much experience, it has to be said. He played in 2 grand finals. He was winner in one of them. Now in his second spell at the club. Also contributes a few goals as the season goes on. Always dangerous on free kicks. Driven in hard again. Deans with a header away. Might just break this for Mori. But there always seems to be a Knights player there. Milicevic drives it downfield hard. Mori with the attempted flick to Despotovski. Although he was onside, he couldn't get to the ball. Not getting any easy for them.
No, it's not. That's because Damian Mori hasn't had much of the ball at his feet, and he put his hands on his head there as if to say, oh, I knew I did that wrong.
Well, you can see what Stanger feels about this performance. Out on the field, Marth, the player coach of Melbourne, must be absolutely thrilled with the way his team have approached this game. Marth, in fact, rising for it to win it in the air, typical of the man to win everything in midfield and drive his team on from that sort of position. Lapsanski with the layoff. Continues his run. Stopped this time. But there's been utter domination for the most part of the 22 minutes we've had so far. Goal that the Knights scored early on really rocked Perth Glory to its foundations. They haven't been able to rebuild them since. Again, good work in midfield. Open spaces now. And ones that are being exploited by Horvat. No one marking the man on the far side. Da Costa awaits in the centre. No chance to get the shot away this time, and now it does break for the Glory. Despotovski wheels off to the far side and needed a deeper ball. And they were using that sort of situation during training during the week. Despotovski was saying, don't worry about the fact I've got 50 yards to run. I'll get there. Just lift the ball over the top. And in that situation, they failed to do it. Faria. Edgar couldn't keep his footing. Vasilevski doing a good job in keeping the width for the Knights down this near side. Da Costa now gets fouled late, the referee playing the advantage. Lapsanski, Marth inside of him. Lapsanski takes over again, and the second physical challenge comes in from Naven in quick succession. And this time the referee says there will be a free kick.
Naven's very lucky not to go in the book. That was 2 tackles, one that he just let go, and then the second one there for the free kick, so he's got to be careful.
Naven, one of 4 players in the starting lineup for the Glory, already on a yellow card. If he were to receive a second one tonight, he would miss the next game should Glory progress, which at the moment doesn't seem likely. Lapsanski with the free kick. Goes for goal this time. It was always going wide.
Well, they have learnt their lesson, the Perth Glory. Ljubo Milicevic was marking Andrew Mark. Now it's Craig Deans that seems to be picking him up. But, Robbie, it seems a better matchup, that one.
It does, but the thing that gets me is the amount of room that the Melbourne Knights midfield have. They don't seem to be any Perth Glory players right up their hammer when they're receiving the ball. They're able to get it, turn, and do what they want with it.
Now, they're playing very similar formations. It's remarkable that they are getting that much space. It shouldn't really be happening. They should be picking up their men in midfield, and they're not doing that.
Sometimes I think when you are not having the ball as much as they're not at the moment, the Perth Glory, you tend to try and overcompensate by doing too much, and in the end you do no job at all. So they're just a little bit rattled at the moment. They need to take the sting out of the Melbourne Knights.
Deans wasn't happy with that decision, and it's another free kick which will allow the Knights to get the big men forward from the back. Marth, of course, taking up his usual position. Once again, Deans is looking at him, trying to match the run. Driven deeper this time. Oh, Da Costa! What a fantastic save by Petkovic. That was a remarkable save, but he's saying, what about the earlier incident in the penalty area? Here it is again. Man goes down. It allowed a clear header for Horvath, but what about that from Petkovic?
Well, being an ex-Pat Pom, Dave, does Gordon Banks ring a bell?
A little bit like the Brazil save. Yes, I agree. Corner to the near post. Doesn't beat the first defender.
I don't know. I disagree with you guys up there. I think the guy should have put that one away. A yard out. Andrew Mark would be very disappointed. Did all the work for it again.
It's like they've got a game plan, and that's what he was working towards. And he forgot that there was a possibility he could actually have a header himself. Go for goal. I understand that Da Costa was in a good position, but I think you've got to give credit to the goalkeeper.
I think so too, but Da Costa has not stopped kicking the ground and banging his head. He is really angry with himself. And so he should be. A chance like that, 2 goals away from home. Well, I tell you, that is a long way back for the Glory. In the way they're playing at the moment, there is no way back.
Has to be said, and I'm going to say it now, that earlier this season in the Champions League, the Spanish side Deportivo La Coruña were 3-0 down at half-time to Paris Saint-Germain at home and end up winning 4-3. Miracles do happen in football, but not that often. Naven sends it downfield. Horvath doing a great job on Despotovski that time.
Oh, he's in a lot of pain. Cervinski's in a lot of pain.
And another free kick, which will just invite more trouble for the Glory.
Yeah, Gareth Naven already on a yellow card. He'll be missing next week if they make it through.
Well, the card is out. Haven't seen it displayed to anybody as yet. Oh, there it goes. And as you quite rightly said, Naven collects his second yellow card, so will be missing next week. And that would mean all sorts of defensive problems for the Glory should they get through, because there'll be no Milicevic, although they will have Harnwell back. Referee just making a note of the name. That's 2 so far in the referee's book. So what will they do from this free kick? Vasilevski, the man to take it from this near touchline. 3 men in the wall. Drives it in deep to the far side, and again they've won the header. Oh, driven in with such power! And surely now you'd feel that it will be the Knights going through to the next stage. Horvath hit that with such power. Two golden goals as far as the Knights are concerned.
Well, don't they say that set pieces are gold dust? Well, they don't get much golder than that at the moment. Andrew Marr took off with a couple of other players to drag those purple shirts out the way. Well done, Joel Porter. Even better, Steve Horvath.
He didn't score in the domestic season and hasn't scored too many goals in his career in the NSL. Just 7 in 124 games. Another priceless effort. And now the equation is the Glory have to score 3 times if they're to go through, and the horrors of last season are beginning to haunt them again. Ironic cheers from the Glory fans as a decision goes their way. It's an uphill task. One thing they've got to do is get a goal back very quickly. Perhaps take a few chances, and that of course means leaving even greater holes at the back. Defence has been like a sieve as it is. Naven wins it back. Here's Edwards. Naven loses out in the end. Here's Porter. Vasilevski available. Here is Vasilevski, another who came back to the fold when Colton actually folded. Vargas. Away by Horvat, the scorer of the second goal. Milicevic drives it downfield. At the moment, Faria is having a nightmare. Plenty of time still for that to change, to still become a hero. One back by Deans, uses all his strength to try and hold up to Costa, and eventually sends him across. And it's away by Vargas. Is it going to go all the way out? Just about.
It's actually better now by the Perth Glory, last 2 minutes since the goal. They're in there, they're tackling, they're harassing in midfield. Now they're starting to get a few things going their way.
What a goal that was. Netting only just about held together. Faria, who came into the team for this game, is now available again. If he can get to the ball first. It was a terrible pass. It was a hospital pass, really. Despotovski again has got 3 in the centre. And that deflection will go away for the corner to Glory. And Miller's going to come across to whip it in with the left boot. Three waiting. Mori the most advanced. Aldrighi, it's a good one as well, but straight into the arms of Acevski, who's been the most underused player on the field so far, and that's very good distribution from him as well. 2 on the far side, but Da Costa rather unforgivably went offside. Edgar. Faria takes over. Now drives it in. Miller comes in off the wing, but again Acevski collects. Many people rate Acevski as one of the best goalkeepers in the NSL. Petkovic, of course, can look upon his caps for Australia as proof that he is one of the best. But twice has been beaten this evening. Despotovski with the layoff. The space here for Naven. The work rate though of the Knights, very good this evening. Miller with the throw. Despotovski has made himself available. He's certainly not gone quiet. As many people thought he'd be under so much pressure, but he wants the ball every time the ball is played forward. Here's Deans, looked up, thinking about a shot, perhaps a little bit too far out. Instead tries to find Faria. Although he kept the ball in, trying to control it was another matter.
Well, his first touch, Greg Deans, was awful. And that's why in the end the Melbourne Knights defender got too close to him and he laid the ball off to the side. But, well, I laughed at people who said that the Melbourne Knights would be at a slight advantage because of the weather conditions. But I tell you what, it's because of the weather conditions and the way that the Melbourne Knights have adapted that they are so dominating this game at the moment.
Naven. Played forward by Vasilevski. Vargas, who's all over the field, having a very good game, and you can understand the reasons why they're They were so desperate to press him at the service. He wasn't quite fit enough to play last week, although they thought that he was very close to it. He's had a very strong game in that midfield area. Despotovski again. Naven. Milicevic to Deans. Now this is something which the Glory have to do, is to try and get a few passes together, get their confidence back. Knights not making it easy, because they're pressing them hard all the time. It's a hard game to keep up for 90 minutes. Naven drives in the shot, which is always going wide. He was going for a shot from long range for only his second goal of the season. The referee's just having a quiet word, saying to Acevski, come on lad, let's be a little bit quicker about this. Though we're 10 minutes before half-time, things are going very much the way of the Knights. Deans. Faria. Has been a little bit more possession, though, for the Glory in the last 5 minutes or so.
That's what they need. They need to keep hold of the ball. They need to knock it round. They need to run the Melbourne Knights around a little bit. They've been run around for the first 35 minutes. They're good enough to play football. Even taking chances at the back, as Ljubo Milicevic is doing at the moment.
And showing the reasons why he is sought after, and why he'll be signing for a German club in the next couple of days. Only a fee of around about $300,000. That was written into the contract that he signed only very recently, a 2-year contract. And very wise, made him a very marketable product. Here now is Naven getting it across. There were 3 waiting. The ball just wouldn't fall their way, though. Vasilevski playing it forward. No complaints, I'm sure, from Edgar this time.
Actually, it looks like Melbourne Knights have changed the game since they scored the second goal. And if they're going to go into defence mode now, this early on, I think they could get themselves in trouble. They need to keep doing what they were doing very well at the beginning of the game, and that's getting it, giving it, and getting it into spaces quickly.
Didn't need too much to fall down there. I think you're right, actually. I think they have changed their game plan a little. And I think it could well be costly, because with this sort of crowd, you get a goal, get it back to 2-1, and suddenly you are in this game. 2-0, it's often be said, 2-0 is one of the hardest scorelines to actually defend. But here's Da Costa, he's beaten the offside trap. This really could put it beyond doubt. It should be 3. It isn't. How did he miss? And in any case, the offside flag was shown against Cervinski. One of the complaints from Deans is that the whistle didn't go early enough. But Da Costa should have got himself. Why didn't he shoot himself?
Yeah, it's a good question. Great Deans complaining to the assistant referee that the initial ball forward to Da Costa was offside. But he quite clearly played him onside.
Well, I think that was my mistake, actually. The linesman was... You see the shots and goal, so many to the Knights, 6 compared to just 1 for the Glory. I think the flag that I saw was just raised to show that it was a goal kick, and you're right, the earlier ball forward, Da Costa did look offside, but no flag was shown, but really he should have been more selfish. As a striker in that sort of situation, you don't pass.
Well, maybe it was the nerves from missing the last one from 2.5 yards. You never know with strikers. They're moody animals. If they're on song, they'll hit the back of the net from 35. If they're not, some of them seem to pass responsibility on.
Mind you, having said that, Cervinski scored the early goal, so he should have been really on a high.
Yeah.
So, once again, Cervinski lays off. He got a firm challenge in the back from Deans. Deans has got to watch himself, or else he'll find himself in the book as well. Just to let you know, the other players who are in possible trouble with yellow cards for the Glory include Milicevic, Edwards and Mori. So many fouls by the Glory. The Knights have kept it relatively clean. It's a good turn again. Just a little bit more on that ball. They would have been past Faria. As it is, he's coming away with it, finding Naven. And as skipper, he needs to galvanise his team. Time beginning to run out at the end of this first half. And if I was going in at half-time, 2-1 looks far better than 2-0.
I can see 15,000 referees on the other side of the ground after that one.
Well, I'll tell you what, the 15,000 referees have got a point. Last touch certainly seemed to come off the Knights player. You could not call the referee so far a homer. Here's Naven. Faria coming in off the wing, off that ball had just travelled a bit further to Edgar, but there's still an opportunity here. Good defending by the Knights. Just refusing to give the Glory any space.
Yeah, again, it was the first touch. Bobby Despotovski just pushing it a yard too far ahead of him. They are really struggling with this slippery ball.
Faria. Costa comes back to win it, and the presence of mind to sip the ball out to the wing. Milicevic to Deans, just keeps the ball in. Da Costa's coming back at him. Got 15,000 shouts that time to warn him. By Horvat, who scored the second goal. A real thumper, a screamer. Faria. Mori tries to get back onside. That's a fine turn by Wehrman. Instead it comes to Naven as they try and start again. Applying a bit of pressure, and they are forcing the Knights back, although we suspect the Knights have suddenly decided to go into their shell.
Well, you do have the tendency when you are leading by 2 goals to protect that lead, and I think it's not by choice that they are going back into the 18-yard box. I think it's just that psychological feeling that, hey, come on, we've got the lead, we've got 2 goals, don't let this lot back into the game.
Milicevic, at the moment, the Knights penned into their own half. Edwards comes in off the wing, seemed to be nudged aside. That just allowed Acevski time to collect the ball. Really come into his own this season. Grabbed his chance, only missed 2 games all season. Miller playing it forward with his right boot. There's a rarity. Edwards with the attempted dummy. Like so many things, not quite coming off. Although Wehrman gets it inside to Despotovski. Needs the little layoff now. Not too many options. Milicevic. Now Faria. Back to Deans. They're queuing up, waiting for the cross. Mori will attack it. Now Cervinski with a layoff to Vargas, to Da Costa now. 2 going through the centre. They've got the man advantage. But between them, they didn't quite sing from the same hymn sheet.
Well, Robbie, when they lose possession, Melbourne Knights, they get behind the ball so quickly. And when they do have possession, I tell you what, they can charge forward so quickly. It's well, it's a pleasure to watch at the moment. They are definitely at the upper echelon of the top 6 the way they're playing.
That's an example of what Deans can do from the back. Now Faria taking over. They've got 4 men in the area. Deans now trying to find the right cross. Despotovski! Best chance so far from the best possession football from the Glory. And Despotovski had timed his run to perfection. That was more encouraging.
43 minutes for the second best goal-scoring team in the country. They've only conceded 10 goals at this ground in 30 matches. They've conceded 2 in 45 minutes.
Actually, I don't think they would mind playing every game at this ground. You said being very pedantic, but we know what you meant. At home, they've been so strong. That's a very good angled ball again. Dean's trying to stay up with Vargas. Vargas has had such a strong game. Naven's attempted clearance only finds Milicevic now. Marth able to play it back. Vargas almost dwelling on the ball too much with Despotovski so close to him. Well, we're almost at half-time. So what are your thoughts about the first half?
Well, I think there's only been one team in it, and if the Perth Glory players were saying that if they can't beat the Melbourne Knights, they don't deserve to be in the top 6, well, or the finals as any further, then at the moment they don't deserve to be here.
Just 1 minute to be added on. And we're into that stoppage time now. Deans. It would look so different if they could just manage to scrape a goal. And of course the Knights doing everything possible to make sure that doesn't happen. Huge disappointment for the majority of the fans, but those who paid for their tickets over in Melbourne and decided to come across will now feel that the money so far has been very well spent. Here's Da Costa, who's missed 2 golden opportunities. Acevski, so good, as has Vargas been. They've controlled the midfield area. Da Costa takes over. Could well be the sting in the tail, comes from the Knights. Sent across, Naven can't keep him at bay. Second time he does. Time almost up. The referee brings the first half to an end. One that has seen the Knights totally dominate the first half. They have been quite sensational. They got a goal early on in the 6th minute of the game. Cervinski pouncing after being set up by Marth. And then the second one, an absolute screamer, which came in from a defender, a natural defender. But today, a goal scorer in Horvat. And at half-time, we have the scoreline, Perth Glory 0, Melbourne Knights 2.
The CUB AFL 2001 Premiership season.
Yes, he's got the mark!
With every game live or replayed on C7 Sports. Tomorrow afternoon live at 2, the Geelong-Carlton confrontation.
Beautiful mark!
Tomorrow night at 9, Collingwood clash with the Kangaroos.
He's got it!
Then right after at 11:30, the Sydney-Brisbane showdown.
And he's kicked it!
The CUB AFL 2001 season on C7 Sport. Alpha, Greek Australian television, brings you current affairs with discussions on local and world events. Alpha brings you shows where real life unfolds before your eyes. There's the very best in Greek drama series. Alpha takes you to the movies. Enjoy your favorite stars. There's extensive news coverage, bringing you the news just as it happens. Connect now to Alpha. It's the world you want to see.
She was born to be bad.
Take a good long look at my face.
And when she's bad,
Identify.
she's very good.
You'll be personally involved. How personal?
Australia's sexiest superstar, Peter Wilson, is on the razor's edge.
Drop it! Shut up! I slept with him. We had to make sure your cover stayed intact.
TV's deadliest femme fatale, La Femme Nikita. Wednesdays 8:30 on O.
Get it dippin'. You can get it chippin'. You can get it having a row. A hard-earned thirst needs a big cold beer. And the best cold beer is Vic. Victoria Bitter. You can get it lumpin'. You can get it thumping. You can get it any old how. Matter of fact, I got it now. Victoria Bitter.
New designer outfit, $250. New lipstick, $35. Evening bag, $90. The look on your ex-boyfriend's face, priceless. There are some things money can't buy. For everything else, there's MasterCard. For a more rewarding credit card program, visit mastercard.com.au.
Monday night at 7:30. Live and exclusive. All you need to know from the people in the know in AFL. We showcase and dissect the game week by week. Profiling, interviewing the superstars. Excellent. With news and views from the coaches and the legendary icons of the game. Tim Watson heads the team of Alves, Silvani and Connolly in Football Feedback. Live Monday night at 7:30 on C7 Sport.
Welcome back to Subiaco. The score at half-time, Perth Glory losing at the moment, 2-0 to the Melbourne Knights. And the boos at the end of that 45 minutes, well, we're not quite sure whether they for the Perth Glory players or for the referee, but they're not happy here. 40,000 of them are packed in to see a splendid performance, and they are not getting one at the moment. Well, to discuss that first 45, we welcome back the great man himself, Robbie Dunn. Robbie, I'm shocked at the way the Perth Glory are playing, and I'm pleasantly surprised at the way the Melbourne Knights are playing. Well,
it certainly is a game of two tactics, isn't it? Andrew Marth was very confident. He said that before the game. He's got them well drilled. They're getting the ball in the midfield a hell of a lot. And look, the Perth Glory, all they seem to be doing is kicking it up front and hope for the best.
Well, the number of shots on goal, they're leading that. The Perth Glory making way too many fouls. So maybe they're trying, but they're just not getting there. They're obviously reacting instead of acting.
I think so. There's too many players very quiet out there. I mean, I haven't seen a lot of Alistair Edwards. Gary Faria has had no impact on the game. And the foul count against Perth Glory is really hurting them where the first goal came from. And they've really got to get a grip of this weather and get used to it and get their game on the road in the second half. 2 yellow cards, one from each team. Both of them will be missing. Gareth Naven, Ljubo Acevski. Well, I mean, if Perth get through, they'll miss Navesy, won't they? And obviously, Acevski's doing a great job for Melbourne in the middle of the park, and they're certainly going to miss him if they go through this week. Is that where the problems are then? Is that what Bernd Stanger will identify? The middle of the park, get hold of the ball, keep it a little bit? I think so, but they've also got to get in there and tackle and make sure that they're arriving at the ball when the Melbourne Knight players get the ball. They seem to be able to pick it up, turn, run 4 or 5 yards and do what they want with it. And the Perth side, when they're going forward, seem to play into the forwards' feet instead of knocking it out wide and into spaces for the guys to run onto. Yeah, Andrew Marth doing a terrific job. He's dangerous at set pieces. Listen, it's a total mismatch right now with him and Alistair Edwards. Marth's winning everything. Very, very subtle in the park during the game, but at free kicks, he's unbelievable. And we saw what he did for the first goal, and he's just all over the top of Edwards right now. Yeah, great little goal there by Adrian Cervinski. They're running off him superbly well, aren't they? Well, look at this. So here's Marth now, bang, over the top. And that was a class finish, wasn't it? Outside of the foot, fully outstretched. That was a great goal. There could have been plenty more as well. There's been saves left, right and centre. There's been near misses. It could be 3, 4 or 5 at half-time. It certainly could be 3 or 4, Wadey. The goalkeeper for Perth, he's done a great job, hasn't he? Point-blank saves. I think one of them's coming up here. Another header across the pitch. Have a look at this. A little bit misdirected for my money for a striker. You can see the boy going down with head all despair. But the goalkeeper had to be there. He was in the right spot, and it was a fantastic save. Kept Perth in the game. And Steve Horvath's goal, in the right place at the right time. But again, it seemed like Andrew Marth, all the attention was on him. They knocked it to the far post, and then Steve Horvath did the rest after a great knockback. Well, it certainly was a great knockback. It was another great free kick. He's just held it up. I thought it at the start had gone too far, but look at this header. I think it's from Porter. But look at this. Bang. I mean, how much room has he got? I know he's a defender. A striker would love that much room, never mind a defender. What would you do now if you were the Melbourne Knights? Because there is a tendency now to sit back and defend that 2-goal lead. And 45 minutes is a long time to defend in these conditions. Yeah, I certainly wouldn't defend. I'd be going straight away into attack again and really putting them on the back foot. Well, will they attack? They've got 45 minutes to score 3 goals, the Perth Glory. We'll be back right after this break to see if they can do it.
Show someone you love them. Why not give them a hug? It's all about love. Superstars, Monday night on C7 Sport.
This May, Movie Extra is making Saturday a must for movie lovers.
I have waited all week for this moment.
With the latest Australian television premieres, including starring Edward Furlong and Christina Ricci.
God, it's a big moment.
A Walk on the Moon. With Diane Lane and Anna Paquin.
Ow! It's a French kiss. You have to open your mouth.
A Slight Case of Murder, starring Babes, James Cromwell, and William H. Macy.
If this is not a stressful situation, there is no such thing.
And the kids' favorite, Pokemon, the first movie. Who will rule? Then prepare yourself.
Because if I die, you die.
Everybody, Vegas!
And get excited, because we're diving into the Movie Network library for some Thursday night classics.
Of course I'm excited. What do you think?
Movie Extra in May. You're gonna love it.
Why you love me this way?
Don't know the reason why you're there every day,
But I know when I hold you near, you are the reason I am here.
So welcome back. At half-time, the Glory trading the Knights by 2-0. Wonderful entertainment at Subiaco Oval this evening. They really put on a real show, although so far their team haven't. I think you probably agree with that, Paul, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I certainly would. Yeah, they're jumping around at the moment, being entertained by all these girls, but I'll tell you what, deep down inside they are feeling bruised and battered, and so they should. Their team hasn't performed.
I must admit, earlier today we were laughing at Robbie. We thought that he'd drawn the very short straw by going downstairs to watch the game from the touchline, and suddenly all these girls started walking out. We were going, hold it a second. He's not in such a bad position, is he? Okay, let's have a look at some stats so far from that first half, and obviously the most important one is that top one, with the Knights winning by 2-0, and they've had more shots on the goal, 6 compared to just 2 for Glory. The one for Despotovski right in the end, the best chance really for the Glory in that first half. They've also had more corners and more fouls given away by the Glory, and of course that was one of the reasons why they were really in such a disastrous position so early on. It was from a free kick in the very early stages of the game that really unsettled them and led to the opening goal. 2 offsides so far against the Knights, just 1 yellow card apiece, although in both instances they're important because whichever of the teams goes through next week will find that one of their players is suspended from that game, and so far thankfully no red cards, unlike last week when we actually did have a red card to Harnwell after 30 minutes. So let's just have a look back at some of the key moments, and this was the Despotovski effort just at the end, and of course very important for the Glory that very early on they try and apply pressure to the Knights and get an early goal back, because it's still not over. Even if they do manage to get a goal back, they'd have to score 3, but by that stage perhaps the momentum will be going their way, Paul.
Well, they're probably thinking to themselves in the dressing room, if Wollongong can come here and score 3 goals in half a game, then we can do it as well, especially with this crowd behind us. And they are behind the Perth Glory. Every time the ball goes forward, they cheer them on. Problem is, it only gets to within 25 yards of the goal, and then it's pinched again. So if they can just build up a little bit of momentum, this crowd, well, it's probably worth a goal, and then it's anybody's guess what can happen after that.
There's Da Costa in vision, who had a couple of chances, and Bernd Stanger, the man who has had to inspire his team at half-time. What do you tell your team when you're 2 goals down in such an important game as this?
Well, the unfortunate thing is that the work that Bobby Despotovski on your screen and Damian Mori do is done on the quick break. And unfortunately, when you've got a team that are leading 2-0, who are probably going to sit back, there is no room up in the forward line anymore. The midfielder sitting back just in front of them, killing the space in front. The goalkeeper is just a matter of yards behind the defence. So it's going to be more and more increasingly difficult for those two players to snatch a goal. Maybe the option is the old British way, just bang it in the mixer and see what comes out.
At the end of the day, they're going to have to take some chances, and of course if you take chances, they could always rebound against you. So it will be the Knights to get the second half underway, in control of the ball, as indeed they've been for most of the game so far. Simon Micallef has actually had a very good game so far, only 2 yellow cards shown, as Porter sends the ball downfield. They've used him on this left flank. It was something which they were trying in training last night, and it's really worked to good effect. Here's Vargas. Porter goes on the outside, but Vargas now finds him. Here's Porter. Great ball in, but Da Costa can't convert. Good defending in the end, perhaps.
All started because Andrew Marr took the quickest of free kicks. Craig Deans, there's the final touch from Gareth Naven to give away the corner, but Andrew Marr knows that this game needs to be built up to the speed it was before. They need to get their momentum back quickly.
The game plan has been brilliant so far for the Knights, and here is Lapsanski with the corner, which doesn't get past the man on the near post. It was Edgar who got the ball away. Vargas, one of the smallest players on the field, not required for service for corners. He's designated a defensive role along with his brother. Should be harmony between those two. Vargas, who gets his head to the ball. That was Roddy Vargas as opposed to Andy, who's now challenging for the ball. It's really been a masterstroke to use Porter, who's normally a striker, in this position out on the left flank. But that's a great turn. Mori sends it across. That could have gone anywhere and still might end up in the net. Despotovski can't quite get there. And Mori, well, he's been adjudged to be offside, I believe, but I don't think that's necessarily accurate because there was a man actually on the goal line. And I think that's probably what Mori was talking about.
Yeah, I think we all assume that the goalkeeper was there too, but the goalkeeper was standing on the edge of the 6-yard box. Then again, how can you give offside in a situation like that with the ball going out wide? He wasn't exactly interfering with play.
No, it's not one of the best decisions of the evening. Been a few that have raised the eyebrows of the Glory fans. That's just another one to add to the list. Aldrighi, who sends the ball downfield from the free kick. The goal scorer, Cervinski, turning. Stopped in the end by Deans. Porter scored 12 goals in the regular season. Da Costa. That was a good, intelligent bit of play by Da Costa.
Yeah, when you're 2-0 down and it comes off your shin and goes out for a corner and you've got to trudge all the way back, it really is. It's psychologically tearing you apart, even a corner like this, so long from the end of the game.
The important thing for the Glory is that their heads mustn't go down so soon. Vargas sends it across. It's just punched away by Petkovic, and that goes away for a goal kick. Once again, the Knights doing well in the early stages of the game in the restart. Once again dictating the play and dominating and looking good. Sent forward. Mori with the header is all full of flicks, and he finds almost Despotovski, although Vargas snipped in very quickly again. Wehrman's header goes into space. Aldrighi returns the ball downfield. Header from Naven only finds a player in midfield who just couldn't do anything with it. What they really need to do is try and find the same momentum that they had in the last 5 or 6 minutes of the first half, and perhaps in this particular instance the half-time whistle came at completely the wrong time for the Glory. Goes beyond Edgar. Dean sends it deep.
Well, we said they had a few problems in the midfield, the Perth Glory, and Brad Maloney, who has always been an engine room wherever he's played, is warming up. Maybe that's the driving force they need from the middle of the park. He's desperate to get on.
Well, looking at him in training just the other night, and he was looking so busy. He was a real galvanising force, which is exactly what's needed at the moment. But here is an opportunity. It'll be Wehrman who will send the ball across, and there are 40,000 fans wanting this to go in. It's very deep. People also went a long way without collecting it. It hasn't gone out. Despotovski returns it. There's a nudge there by Faria, which the referee allowed to go. De Costa tries to get it downfield. Naven nips in to win possession back for Perth Glory. In turn, he was trying to find Despotovski, but without luck. So let's go down to the touchline and Robbie.
I'm here with Mitch Davray. Mitch, obviously not the start you wanted. 2 goals down. What's the plan for the second half?
Yeah, not the start. We're a bit shell shocked, really. We haven't played at all. And this is really simple second half. We have to score 3 goals. Otherwise, we go out the competition. We're just going to try and get a lot more balls into the box, because I think when we get the balls in the box, we cause them problems. We didn't do enough of that in the first half, and we're looking to do that now.
Okay, not being the coach, but I thought midfield gave you a little bit of problem. Any word with Brad Maloney in the second half?
Yeah, Brad's warming up. I think it will be a matter of time before we see Brad come on now.
Look, you need 3 goals. All the best, Mitch.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Well, they need something. Whether Maloney can provide what they need remains to be seen. Here are the Glory coming forward, and they are committing more men to the attack. Milicevic waiting for the run forward. He had several players to choose from, and in the end only picked out Porter.
It's just a mess, isn't it? I mean, Ljubo Milicevic looked up there, and there was 10 green and white shirts. There was only De Costa standing on the halfway line. How he's going to get a ball through there, I'll never know.
And this is what Porter can do to you. Charging forward, but Deans read the play beautifully. Wins possession once again for Glory, and then goes on one of those charging runs, cut off by Vargas, but Deans won't give this one up. Little Andy Vargas showing his tricks on the ball. And that was his brother who headed the ball away. So let's go back down to the touchline with Robbie.
Well, now I'm down here with a very happy assistant coach, John Segura. John, gone to plan so far?
Yeah, actually, everything is going exactly to plan, and all Andrew Martha's asked is for more of the same, and for every player to do their job and to beat their opposite number, and we'll win this game.
Obviously very simple controls. We'll just hold on a minute here.
Here's De Costa breaking forward, goes down in the area, but no penalty given. Back to you, Robbie.
No penalty there. Obviously, depended a little bit in the first half. At the end of the first half, what's the plan for the second half, John?
Yeah, just again, more of the same. We're going to keep it tight. We came out in that second half, could have had one straight away, but we missed a couple in that first half as well. Could have had probably 3 or 4, but you know, we're confident we can go ahead and wrap this game up in the second half.
Good on you, John. Thanks for your time and all the best, mate.
Thanks very much, Robbie.
Confidence is the thing. They've had that since the early stages of the game when the ball went in the nets. They've increased the lead since. Every reason to be confident, but not overconfident. Mori out to the wing. Returned by Wehrman. It's over Despotovski's head. Mori's shot. And once again fired in by the left boot of Edwards. Better, more possession, but still no final outcome for the Glory, as the shot from Edwards finds itself in the crowd, and still the score remains 2-0.
It's at least what Mitch Davray was talking about. Just get the ball in the 18-yard box, and that's exactly what Kasey Wehrman did when it fell to Alistair Edwards.
And a free kick. And we saw plenty of those in the first half. Costly they were in the first half. Will they be in the second? This time it'll be Vargas who will take it. The only player to feature from the start in every single game this season for Melbourne Knights. He's actually left it this time, though, as the ball is sent deep. Deans allows the ball to go, and it's going to be a goal kick. Actually, the Knights just finding it slightly harder to get the possession that they enjoyed in the first half. And that's a sign that perhaps the Glory are beginning to get it right. strong header by Ognenovski. Porter doing well once again on the left flank for Melbourne Knights. We played Mrdja there last week. He's on the bench today because of the return of Vargas. Both those moves, incidentally, have helped the team. Porter again. Now Deans looking for Mori. Used his strength. Felt he'd been fouled, but the throw goes the way of the Knights once again. And 10 minutes have already elapsed in this second half, and time fast running out.
Just on Damian Mori, I mean, they need goals and they need Damian Mori to score them. I don't think he should be doing as much work running into corners anymore. It's his job to put the ball in the back of the net, and usually you'll do that anywhere inside the 18-yard box. He shouldn't make those runs.
That's a great ball forward, though, to Mori. Despotovski making his way in the area as well. Mori went for goal. That's what Da Costa should have done in the first half.
And just as I say that, he shouldn't make those runs. He gets a great ball. No, his job is to get inside that 18-yard box and be on the end of everything that goes in there.
There's Faria's cross. The keeper's come a long way and kept charge of his area. When you come that far out as a goalkeeper, if you don't collect the ball, it can be disastrous. Not this time.
Well, down here you've got Mrdja and
yeah, Maloney as well.
Sorry, Brad Maloney coming on as well, so I'm just trying to work out who's coming off.
Well, it's going to be presumably... Well, we're going to find out now. One of them is Edgar. He's had a fairly ineffectual game, it has to be said, so Maloney coming on is a straight replacement for him, and they are very similar type players, it has to be said. You wouldn't expect them to play alongside each other. So that's the first of the substitutions about to be made.
And Alistair Edwards looks like he's making his way over.
Alistair Edwards indeed comes forward. And again, it's like for like. Edwards, who's a striker who's been playing in a midfield role. And the man who comes on, Mrdja, likes to get forward. Can he be the ingredient that changes the fortunes of the Glory? It's a good flick on. Oh, and a crowd just urging the team forward, and the last touch comes of Ognenovski. So it will be a corner. And the crowd saying, come on, get on with it, and Miller needs no excuse to do just that. Sends it deep, the keeper comes, flaps at it this time. Despotovski was a little bit too close to him to be able to collect it. What do you make of those substitutions then?
Not bad, they needed new life. It didn't really matter who it was. That's Bobby Despotovski's night as far as I'm concerned. That sums it up for Bobby. They needed new blood, new enthusiasm, and they've certainly got that now. You'll certainly get some runs from the midfield from Brad Maloney, and fresh legs up front. That's not a bad idea as well. You've got to chase absolutely everything down, but there's got to be somebody in the middle like Damian Mori to finish it when it arrives there.
Good deep clearance as well downfield. Da Costa met it. He shouldn't actually be winning those headers. He's so small and slight. I know he's got springed heels, but really that should be a defensive header every time. Okay, this is the first chance to see the new players getting involved with the pass. A little bit too wayward. Porter intervened and finds Vargas, and the counter-attack now might be on. Acevski out to the wing. Vasilevski. That's good play by the fullback. Cut out by Faria. Angled pass, but a poor one. Dean sends it deep. Collected by Naven. Mr. Fix-It of Perth Glory can play in midfield or in defence. So much glory for him down the years. But at the moment his team is struggling. And of course this was the sort of position that was causing so much harm to the Glory in the first half. Sent Deans into the sort of position that Marth was in, and he set up the first of the goals. They go for the short one. Despotovski looking to turn, drives it across. It was the best chance, really, but nobody was committed to going in there.
Well, I'll tell you, as a coach, surely you must... Well, I'll tell you what, you give Damian Mori a serve after that. That's his job, to be there when the ball flashes across. No excuses. He's a goal scorer. He's got to be on the end of everything that comes across. You can't assume it's not. You can't assume because Bobby Despotovski's having an absolute shocker tonight that he won't do something brilliant like that. And Damian Mori, in particular, should be lined up and shot for not being there. Maybe being a bit too harsh, Robbie, your thoughts?
Well, he's obviously got to try something to get away from his marker because he's been well held tonight, but I agree with you. He should be in the box there, but, you know, it's not his fault entirely.
Well, that looked like a free kick on the edge of the area. The referee, again, quite prepared to allow play to continue. Disappointing the home fans, who, I imagine at the moment, don't feel they've had the rub of the green. Naven fighting hard, but losing out again. Difficult to stay on side when the ball is in that sort of position, but they managed to achieve it. And there's the overlap on the far side, and he's not offside. Just DaCosta making his way into the area. He's going to have to do an awful lot himself if they're to do anything from this. Look, they're not prepared to commit anybody to attack now, so he's forced to go into the corner. In the end, it goes off for the goal kick to the Glory.
Well, I'm sure it's in the plans of Andrew Mark, their skipper, to make sure you don't concede a goal, because one goal in a situation like this could psychologically turn it round for Perth Glory. He knows that if he doesn't concede a goal, forget running and just leave Cervinski and DaCosta up there on their own. If they can waste a few minutes in the corner, then all very well. But they don't have to score goals every time they go forward. They've got two already. Andrew Mark will be happy with that.
It's a poor pass by Despotovski. DaCosta then goes down, and the referee, rightly in my opinion, saw that as a dive. Milicevic out to the wing. Maloney feeding it to Faria. Here's Deans once more. Wehrman has got Faria on the outside of him, but he goes for the cross himself. It comes off the top of the head and might just be kept in. Vasilevski sends the ball away. But it's going to be a Glory ball. And sooner or later, one of these chances has got to go in if the Glory are to make one of the most remarkable fightbacks. Only their fourth corner of the game, but they are beginning to catch up, the Knights. It's deep, it's curling in wickedly. Mrdja was in there, causing the keeper trouble. Despotovski now. Couldn't get the depth on the cross that was needed. You can understand now why, if they do get a goal, it could become one of the most exciting games we've seen all season. Deans with a header back. The attempted long-range shot, but look at this for the breakout. It's 2 against 1 here. DaCosta is in the central position. Here's DaCosta, but Naven races back. And just in the nick of time.
How good is Gareth Naven? So many times this season. Even the intelligence there to step up as the pass was being played by Adrian Cervinski. There's no wonder Bernd Stanger is the first person to put Gareth Naven's name down on paper.
Despotovski making the angled run. The ball doesn't reach him, though. Ognanovski's header is helped on its way by Mark. Now Deans intercepts. So far, the introduction of 2 substitutes hasn't really changed matters too much. Glory still trading 2-0. The Knights doing a wonderful job here at Subiaco Oval. Miller looks for some help and gets it from Mrdja. Being forced back all the while. Naven. What wonderful defending by the Knights. What else can you say about it?
Yeah, DaCosta and Cervinski are working hard on their own, and they've realised they've got to do that. They've got to cover 75 metres across the park on their own, while the other 8 men stand on the edge of the 18-yard box and repel anything that comes in there.
Well, it's coming in now. Only partially away. It will come to Faria, who lays it off. Wehrman, strong in the tackle, but can't find the pass to Faria, and again it breaks down. And what you've got to watch for now is the possibility of another counter-attack, and the goal stemming from that, which really would put it beyond all question.
And I think it'll happen, Robbie Dunn, don't you, with Da Costa, the way he can run at players. It's only got to come to him once and he's away.
He's very, very tricky, isn't he? I know he hasn't put one away, but he's very tricky. He's always there, so I suppose it's always a danger. But I quite like the look of Perth right now. I think they can come back. I don't think a goal's beyond them.
What about 3?
Time will tell, David.
Could have made himself into one of the biggest pundits in all of Australia if he'd actually gone for it and said, yep, I think they can get 3, and if they'd done it. But we'll find out, as he said. Time is not on their side. That's the reason for the free kick, with Mrdja brought down. Oh, no. Oh, now that was very late. What's it? It's an instant red card. That might change things. Vargas complains of the referee's decision, but those fans on the far side believe it was the right one. Did you get a clear view of that one?
Yeah, retaliation, unfortunately. Andrew Marth has given absolutely everything tonight, as he did last weekend. He's led from the front. He just didn't quite get the tackle with Bobby Despotovski. Bobby went over, had a word with him while Andrew Marth was on the ground as the scuffles go on. And then Andrew Marth got up and kicked out at Bobby Despotovski, hit flashpoint, bingo, red card.
So, Captain Courageous, Captain Marvel, all those things that he's been described, the man who's been leading from the front is now making his way off. The other factor in this, as coach, he would normally want to sit on the sidelines here supporting his team, but that won't be allowed, I'm sure. So he's actually got to just watch on from the sidelines. Should Perth now get a goal, it would make it very interesting.
Well, what does Andrew Marth do? He's the captain coach. He can't sit on the bench as a player that's been sent off, so he's got to go inside.
Well, he's trying to argue with some of the officials that that's not the case, but they are now leading away to the dressing room. That's the end of his evening. I hope he's got a TV set down there so he can follow what's going on. Here's the free kick as it's driven into the near post, and it's in! And the Glory are back in it! And the fireworks go off, and it may not be the last fireworks we see. Deans goes back with a score now at Perth Glory 1, the Knights 2. As the ball comes in, just got the nearest of touches, and I don't know whether Dean's actually got the final touch there at all.
I think I'd give it to him, Robbie Dunn, would you?
I think Deans would claim that, don't you, Wadey?
Yeah. Great little flick by Scotty Miller at the near post. But you can imagine how they're feeling now, the Melbourne Knights. They've lost their spiritual leader. What do we do? Do we sit back? Do we absorb pressure? Do we just kick this ball into the top row of the stand? We're going to be under pressure from now to the end of 90 minutes, and that is a long time, 22 minutes.
Well, last week we had a delay in play because of flares, and now this is a very much self-inflicted wound by the Glory, with streamers being sent up on the celebration of the goal. And still the air is not clear. Stango will feel that his team have now got the chance to perhaps pull off a major, major surprise to be, well, in fact, it's the reverse of last season, really, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, Ivan Jolic is coming on, and Andy Vargas is going off.
So, that's going to be another defender brought on, or at least as a defensively minded player. I presume that they'll be looking for Cervinski to drop back and leave Da Costa as a lone striker, although I'm not sure that Cervinski has quite got the legs for that. Just 3 at the back, 4 in midfield, and 2 up front as the formation as they get the game underway again. And there's still time for the fight back. We always said if Glory got a goal back, providing the score was still at 2, There was an opportunity for them to force their way back into the game. Well, they've done that. The door is slightly ajar. Can they force it all the way open? Playing with such urgency now. Here's Deans. Milicevic. Breaks up on the edge of the area. And now, there's a chance for the counter-attack for the Knights. De Costa was the lone striker in that situation. But suddenly, the momentum has swung the other way. Despotovski with the layoff. Perhaps needed to just control that ball, bring it down. They can be a little bit more measured about their play. Aim towards Mori. Away by Porter. The last 20 minutes of this game. Well, it could be some of the most exciting soccer that's been seen in Australia for some time.
Well, this is why Andrew Marth at the beginning of the week said why it was going to be so difficult to come to Subiaco in front of 40,000 people and get a victory. The crowd are cheering them on. It must be deafening down there, Robbie.
It is deafening, but I still think Craig Dean's a very lucky man after that tackle. He just purely went for the man there.
Deans has been lucky actually on several occasions so far in this game, especially if he's also credited with the goal. Porter back up on his feet. I think Miller might have something to say about that goal, you know, as the ball is sent forward. And once again, it's the Glory with an opportunity of sending it deep. They're now playing with 3 strikers, and they can afford to commit men to attack now. They've got the numerical advantage, which they didn't have last week, which rather cramped their style. Difference is, they're not going to have the advantage for as long. You also have to watch out for one other thing. Quite often when a referee will show the red card, sometimes evens things up. Good work by Mrdja, fighting hard into the tackle again. Vasilevski won't be in a desperate hurry to take the throw-in. And they'll use up as much time as they can. And the referee shows a yellow card, presumably for time wasting.
Well, I tell you what, I think that was a little bit too harsh. I don't think there was any prolonged stalling there at all. I've seen guys hold it a lot longer than that and nothing happened. So Simon Micallef, maybe he realises the importance of this and wants to stamp it out early.
Mori doesn't get a touch. It's Porter's header away. It's in that central area of midfield that really the Glory need to be winning possession and controlling it. Milicevic complains in what is arguably going to be his last game for the Glory. He's been pressed into service in midfield now. It looks like they've gone into a flat back 4. Deans. Porter. Plays the ball forward. Deans comes through his man again. And once again, leading the charmed life that he's done in this game, walks away without a yellow card being shown.
And the Knights bench down here aren't too happy with Simon Micallef with the decisions he's making, very lenient decisions on Deans.
It does provide a free kick for Acevski. We know how vulnerable Glory can be to free kicks, although there's no mark there. Probably dictated what Acevski did with it. It's a completely different atmosphere now, though. Glory fans have got something to be encouraged by, and they're making their voices heard. Mori trying to get on the end of it.
Well, the 2 most important men on the park tonight right now are Steve Horvath and Ljubo Acevski. They can control this play, they can keep them organised in defence, and they can win it for the Melbourne Knights.
Tell you what though, the Glory are going to have to improve on their crossing. Wehrman had a great opportunity to get a cross in, failed to beat the first defender. That's a better ball, getting behind the defence. Mori looking to turn, the last touch came off him. It'll be a goal kick.
Well, I hate to say it, guys, but I did say that Perth looked good for a goal, didn't I?
Do you get any more vibrations down there?
Hold on, it's just coming to me now.
I don't think we've seen the last of the scoring. If you're looking for drama, we could have it in the last 5 minutes of this game. As Bill Shankly once said, it only takes a second to score a goal. Despotovski wins the ball fairly. Miller couldn't supply the return pass and fights very hard to win possession back and gets fouled for his trouble. He's taken very quickly, quite rightly too. Despotovski looks round, told to play on, fires it in! Just wide! That's more like it.
Well, just as Andrew Marth did in the early part of this half, so did the Perth Glory. A quick free kick gave plenty of room for Bobby Despotovski. And I'll tell you what, you would have heard the roar in Adelaide if he'd have scored that one.
You can always tell when a goalkeeper is troubled by a shot is the way that Acevski leapt across, trying to cover it. For all the world, it looked like he was going to nestle in the bottom corner of the goal. Deans will take it. Naven forced to go backwards. Momentum has got to be all forward though for the Glory now. Miller on the ball. Milicevic playing in central midfield. Doesn't quite get the ball. But all the Perth fans will be wondering why their team couldn't play like this in the first half. I just wonder whether it was the occasion, all the publicity surrounding all the other events. I don't know what it was, but certainly we didn't see their true colours. We're beginning to see them now. Mrdja has to backtrack, gets across into the near post. It's only partially cleared. Milicevic will win this. Now Miller. Milicevic available again. Lays it on to Despotovski. Flick forward, there's an offside flag gone up. The play will be stopped.
Yeah, I don't think they were allowed to play well. That's the reason. I don't think the publicity had anything to do with it. I don't think the nerves had anything to do with it. The Melbourne Knights were on fire. They played, they controlled the ball better, they passed it better, they worked harder. Everything that you do in football was going right for the Melbourne Knights, and they controlled the way the Perth Glory were playing themselves.
Well, they're not controlling them so well now as Mori cuts inside. Play continues. Maloney getting the ball forward. Now Wehrman to Mori. Despotovski on the outside as Mori goes for goal. You've got to go for goal, it's true. Certainly got to try and take your chances, even if they are from long range. Although, on that occasion, wide of the mark from Mori. But it's going to be a free kick. This is an interesting position. Wehrman looks up. And he's got quite a few players to aim for. Possibly Deans, possibly Milicevic. Despotovski just on the edge of the area, just hanging back slightly. Wehrman sends it in. Could have gone anywhere. Came off Deans and goes for the goal kick. What did you make of that free kick?
Yeah, it's difficult. I always have my doubts when the weather conditions are like this. The conditions are so slippery. I'm willing to allow a little bit of give.
Wehrman runs into trouble. Porter with excellent work, drives down the wing, but it was stopped by Deans, and that was a good challenge that time by the defender. You can hear the booming voice of Bernd Stanger shouting, "Come on, come on." There isn't time. And I tell you what, he's right. Milicevic. Each time I look at the defensive area of Glory, there's a man less in there. Just three at the back at that particular time, supported by Wehrman. Here's Deans. Now Wehrman takes over, very much the playmaker at the moment. Out to the wing to Faria, who's lightning fast, given a chance, and he's using that pace to good advantage now. Ball came off the Knights player for a corner. 10 minutes to go.
I saw 15,000 referees put their hand up for a penalty then as well.
It's sent in. The keeper seemed to be struggling to get there, but the luck holds the way of the Knights, and anywhere would do. In fact, that's a very good clearance, sending it deep into the Perth Glory half, and it's Petkovic, the goalkeeper himself, who comes out to act as sweeper. Just saying, get it in there. That's what he's doing now. Deans heads it forward. It's a great chance. It's wide. And somehow you feel it's not going to be the Glory's night.
What a gift. He's scored 17 goals this season, and he just needed that one to hit the side of the net. Oh, what a jump by Craig Deans. What a miss by Bobby Despotovski.
And even on the replays, as you saw the ball going towards the goal, you could not believe it was going to miss. And he's had 2 opportunities in this second half, either of which, if they'd gone in, would have changed the shape of this game. Well, he's had the chances, and they're creating chances. And listen to the fans now. Milicevic lays the ball off. That's a great ball to Mrdja! Great save by Acevski. It's still not away. Faria. Milicevic caught on the edge of the area. Faria is available to him. He goes down. It's not a free kick this time. And Vargas can help get the ball clear along with Porter. But it's not clear for long. Deans rides the challenge. Simple ball forward. There are just too many nice players there, though. One back fairly by Mori. Here's Wehrman, 2 on the far side, one of which is not marked, and the keeper spills it, but spills it wide for the corner.
Oh, I tell you what, when it comes to entertainment, these guys are putting on a show. I can imagine what the Melbourne Knights fans at home are thinking.
Again, it's a deep one to Deans. Might stay in field, it does. The diving header clears the danger for the time being. There's a man down, it's Deans. He's slow to get up. Not interfering with play, though, as it happens, as such. Faria's shot! Punched away! And anywhere, once again, will do by a Knights team who are beginning to feel the pressure.
Well, usually when you've got a player down, you kick it out, but not in an elimination final like this with such importance on 2 goals.
Deans has to go off for a little bit of treatment, as we see once again a wonderful effort. Faria is available, but not used by Wehrman. That should be the keeper's ball, and it is. Oh, some of the football at the moment is breathtaking. And that's a terrible slip by Naven. Da Costa. Here's Da Costa. He really can finish it, but not this time because Petkovic raced off his line. And the Glory sweeping forward once more. Milicevic on the ball. And they sense the drama of it. He goes for goal, but perhaps in that situation wasn't the right option.
Well, Bernstein's going to make another substitution with Dion Valle coming on. I'm not sure who's coming off at this stage.
Well, Valle is a defender primarily. So I wonder whether he's going to be played in a slightly unusual position. It's not beyond.
I think so, yeah, I think so, David. Just stick him up the front, get the ball in there and see where it drops. Although he seems to be dropping back into a defensive role.
Yeah, he does. They're just leaving Craig Deans, who's injured on the sideline. They've decided they can't wait any more for him, so they're leaving him off.
That's actually probably a very good ploy. You don't want to be down to 10 men. It could take a few minutes to get him right. And Valle immediately getting into the action. It's a bit flat-footed, but the pace of this game has really stepped up a gear or 2 since the beginning. Naven has to work hard to get to it, and in the end loses out and is kicking lumps out of the attacking player. That's Acevski. Will certainly have felt those kicks.
tell you, that kid Nick Mrdja made a big difference as he's come on. He's an exciting player, that guy.
They're very excited about him, it has to be said, at the Glory. They feel that he's going to go on and achieve great things. He had that one opportunity which was saved by Acevski. At the moment, though, it's the Knights trying to create another chance, although they're not committing too many players forward, which I'm sure you'd agree with. Mori makes a diagonal run. Vargas cuts across. Mrdja challenges hard. But we're only a few seconds away from the last 5 minutes of the game. There will be a little bit of stoppage time, but I wouldn't have thought a vast amount. And despite this valiant effort in this second half, still he's had a situation where the Glory need to score 2 goals. Valle looks up, thinks about a shot. Could have been deflected anywhere. As it was deflected away by Vargas. And that was not a foul by Da Costa, according to the referee. And Da Costa's now peeled away and looks like he's got far too much pace for Valle. He's waiting for support and he's getting it on the far side. The pass just sent a little bit too deep. And the Knights will be grateful to just wind the clock down a little bit further. Sends a very deep cross, and too deep a cross because it goes off. Drops in midfield for the Glory. Despotovski just slightly overran the ball. Tries to play it in to Mrdja. It will just be kept in. Vargas sending it deep again. That's all they need to do. Show on to Despotovski. Milicevic wants it deeper than that. It is Despotovski.
Another substitution coming up for the Melbourne Knights here, guys.
Very ambitious with that particular effort. And there's going to be the introduction of Vukitin in just a second. Well, I'm sure this substitution is more to wind the clock down than any desperate need to get on the defender Vukitin.
Adrian Cervinski coming off, the goal scorer.
Yeah, Cervinski can make way now for the defender. They have packed the defence in the second half. The Knights have been quite exceptional, though, in this game with their game plan. And even with all the pressure the Glory have mounted in the second half, it hasn't been enough. Valle sends it forward, met by Ognanovski, but it now will come out to the wing to Mori. 2 waiting in the area for the cross as Sasha Ognanovski comes forward once again. Mori. That's too close to the goalkeeper, surely. He came under pressure, but he would claim he was fouled and goes off for the goal kick in any case. Keeper staying down, and the fans suspecting it's a delaying tactic. Challenged for the ball. Received a bit of a knock, looks a bit dazed as he gets up and gets a helping hand from the referee. Pulled off some very good saves in this second half. And also saw a couple of efforts from Despotovski just go wide of the goal. Valle's underneath this, lets the ball run on. Here's Naven. A minute and a half of normal time remaining. Faria, it's once again a wonderful interception by Ognanovski. And Porter is away. He's being stopped by Mori of all people, who saw the danger and raced back. Maloney. And Wehrman unable to quite get to the ball, although it came off the Knights player. It's their throw.
Another substitution down here.
And another delaying tactic. We'll see Porter replaced.
Joey Mrdja.
Mrdja, the player to come on. started the game last week, but was sacrificed at half-time as they brought on a more attacking player. Of course, they had a man advantage throughout the whole of the second half last week on their own ground. Couldn't force a goal then, but managed to score twice in the first half today. Sent deep, the keeper spills it, Mori's in there, but at the second attempt, Acevski pounces. Da Costa used his hand, but was being fouled from behind by Naven. And time is almost up as we go into the time allowed by the referee for stoppages. The board about to be held up. We see that challenge once again by Naven. Free kick just sent into the corner where Da Costa will chase it. 5 minutes remains of the game. We are now in stoppage time. The Glory have a desperate 5 minutes to try and score the 2 goals they need. Here now is Naven. Poor pass selection once again. Excellent defending by the Knights. Naven again. Oh, and again. It's a terrible pass. Despotovski is back helping out as a defender, and there are more players able to go forward for the Knights here. Da Costa stayed. Oh, no, he didn't. Just offside. That was, in fact, unforgivable because he was looking right across the line. Should have been able to see whether he was advanced as the last defender.
Well, 5 minutes, David, is enough for these guys to get a goal, I can tell you.
Trouble is, they need 2. And is it asking too much to do that? Well, Manchester United fans will know what they achieved in the Champions Cup final a couple of seasons ago against Bayern Munich. Trailing 1-0 in the dying seconds, they won 2-1 in the end. Keeper again. Didn't look desperately secure. We'll waste a bit more time before releasing it. And that's going to be a free kick. With a boot raised against the goalkeeper. Well, they did go for it in the second half, Glory, but swept away by the game plan of the Knights in the first half.
I think they caught them with their pants down, so to speak, didn't they, really?
Certainly did. Took their chances as well. Not all of them, it has to be said. Da Costa missed a couple in the first half. As Faria goes on one of those surging runs, but Da Costa showing his value to the team. Been very heavily involved. Shown some real wit and cleverness about his play. Almost half the stoppage time allowed has elapsed already. Mori is all over the place. Valle is now playing as an emergency striker. It's a desperate shot in desperate times.
You know, when you go a man down, the opposition side really need to get it out wide. They need to go down the flanks, get the other side really tired by chasing them out wide, and then getting the crosses in and hurting them where it counts. And Perth just unfortunately haven't done that.
They scored the goal. Almost instantly the mark was banned from the field. They couldn't build on it. And as time winds down, barely 2 minutes remain for Glory somehow to find the magic touch. Comes to Miller. Sent deep towards Mori. There were 2 waiting, and they have found the net. Maloney on the far side gives them a little bit of hope. But is it too little, too late? The substitute who scored 4 goals in the domestic season. And it was the same tactic employed by the Knights in the first half, which provided the Glory with their second goal of the evening. But it's going to be like the charge of the Light Brigade in the final seconds of the game. The referee presumably will add on a few seconds for the goal celebrations and for a bit of time wasting as well. And also for the distribution of another yellow card, which has gone to Jolic.
Well, dare I say it again, David, but did I pick the second goal?
I wish I could say, Robbie, that you did. Perhaps you mentioned it to somebody down there who will actually testify for you later on if you need to call on a friend for evidence. Okay, The last desperate seconds. It really would be miraculous if Glory could somehow find a winner now. That's what they've got to do, or else the Knights will be going through to the next stage to play either Sydney United or Marconi. Had the Glory gone through, they would have hosted the next game. The referee looked at his watch and says, play on. The whistle goes against Valle, who's holding his man. That was a good decision by the referee. Had a very clear view of that from here. Well, time is up. It's all down to the referee now. Been a lot of time wasting, but how much more will the referee add on, especially as the Knights send the ball downfield. De Costa will try and take it into the corner area. And the fans are shouting out, glory, glory. Well, it might be a glorious effort, but the referee taking another deep look at his watch. This might be the last chance they've got. They've got so many players forward. Can they keep it in? It's not kept in, and that ultimately could cost them. All eyes on the referee.
Well, the Melbourne Knights bench all believe that the whistle should have gone a minute ago.
Well, the clock says that should be the case. The referee has been adding plenty of time for the time wasting, the goal celebrations, but really, Glory living on borrowed time now. They've just got to hope for the best. Despotovski, Valle looked to be offside. It didn't matter. The ball went off in any case. And the referee sees the game go into the 7th minute of stoppage time. De Costa holds his hands up to say, how come, referee? Stanger looks on, surely this will be it. It is, the Knights are through. 2 goals in the first half really stung Perth Glory to the core. In the second half, there was the fight back. Teams got 1 back, and then in stoppage time, there was 1 from Maloney to level the scores at 2-2, but it's the Knights that go through on the away goals rule after the final score of Perth Glory 2, Melbourne Knights 2. So let's go down to the touchline and join Paul.
Yes, thank you very much, David. Well, an absolutely stunned crowd here, as you can well imagine. They're cheering for what? I'm not quite sure, but they certainly won't be cheering for their team. Maybe that last 45 minutes, they were really standing up and were counted. But you'd have to say, and I'm sure all the Melbourne Knights agree, that on the day, it was the Melbourne Knights the better team. They were much quicker to the ball in the first 45 minutes. The quality of their passing was much better, and they hung on for dear life when the going got tough. It was a real quality fight from a side that do not have the experience that a team like Perth Glory should have and did have on the night. That loss of Andrew Marth was a big blow, but the likes of Steve Horvath, Lapsansky kept them in the game, and even with 7 minutes of extra time, they still couldn't pull off any sort of victory. A couple of great saves by the goalkeeper. The Petkovic save was an absolute thriller. That kept the Glory in. It gave them an outside chance, and we're joined on the sideline by a man who really did his work tonight, and that's Ljubo Lapsansky. Ljubo, I've just got one question for you. How do you feel right now inside?
No, it's just it's a great feeling there. You know, it's, to win in Perth in front of 30,000 or 40,000 people. It's just a fantastic feeling. You know, we got into trouble a little bit in the second half. Andrew got sent off, and yeah, they put a bit of a pressure on us. We conceded 2 goals, but at the end of the day, you know, we got out of it, and we improved. So
why did you get yourselves in trouble? It seemed like, well, hang on, we've got a 2-0 lead here. Let's keep it.
Well, they pushed extra player Ljubo up front, and you know, just keep putting pressure on us, keep whipping the crosses in, and you know, create sort of a bit of extra pressure inside the box, you know, and then plus Andrew got sent off, so you know, a bit of a trouble there.
You've only beaten top 6 sides once so far this season. This is the 2nd time. What a victory!
Yeah, well, you know, it's hard to describe at the moment. You know, the feelings are there. You know, fortunately we left 40,000 people disappointed here tonight, but that's all soccer is all about.
Which is your preference, Sydney Olympic or Marconi?
Oh, I don't really care because I'm out this week, so whatever. I mean, still got to go to Sydney, but I prefer Marconi.
Thank you very much, Ljubo. Ljubo Lapsanski has done a terrific job for the Melbourne Knights and made everybody back in Melbourne very proud indeed. Well, we're really fighting to keep the emotion inside because these fans here, well, I don't know. Do you think they're upset? Are they proud of their team, Robbie?
Well, they're out there cheering them, which is great to see. I mean, they're probably disappointed. Again, another great turnout for a finals campaign, and we just couldn't get the win.
They said before they came into this game, Perth Glory, if we can't win this one, we don't deserve to be here. What are your thoughts now?
Well, prophetic words, wasn't it, really? I mean, Andrew Marth out now next week, Lapsanski out next week. I think it's going to be tough for the Knights, but on tonight's performance, they did ever so well in the first half, hung on there in the end. You know, I think they could go quite a bit further.
Do they need more in attack? Will Da Costa do the job for them? I thought he played well tonight, especially when in the first half when they really got going.
I think he played well, he just didn't finish. So, you know, it's time for him to stand up and put the ball in the net, especially next week. Joel Porter did really well, and if he can perform again like he did tonight, they'll do well.
Now, in the next round, who would you like to see them meet? Sydney Olympic or Marconi?
Oh, I'd love to see Sydney Olympic. They're playing free-flowing football. They've got good goal scorers. They score a lot of goals, and I love seeing goals in finals, so it'd be great to see them play against Olympic.
Yes, it's all entertainment here at the Subiaco, as you can well imagine. We look forward to your company again after the break. We'll be back right after this. No, I believe we have no break. Well, there you go. All the atmosphere has got to myself and Robbie Dunn as well. Plenty more action coming up on C7 Sports. All the action starts at Marconi Stadium with a game against Olympic. Look forward to your company then, but from Subiaco, we wish you a very good night.
Great goal!